In this video, we're going to build a 360 video here in Unity. And there's a couple of assets on the asset store to do that. I'm going to type in 360 Panorama. And the best one is the VR Panorama 360, but this one does cost money. And I will have a tutorial on how to use this one because this is a better pack. But this one is free, and it's called 360 Panorama Capture from Everyday VR. And so let's look at how to use this free one to make a 360 video. I'm going to import the whole package into the project. And we're going to have, all right, we got the panorama capture. So the first thing is to open up the README file. And it says create an empty game object and add the panorama capture script to it. So let's see, create an empty game object and add the capture panorama script to it. All right, so we're going to create an empty game object. And then we're going to add the, I'm just going to type in panorama. And there's the capture panorama script. All right. Now it's going to say under edit project settings, optimization, make sure that you have the API compatibility level set to .NET. If you don't do this, the script will work in the editor but not in the builds. So that is over here in the build settings, and we could say that the .NET 2.0. But because I'm going to build my panorama in the editor today, and I actually don't really need to do that, so for application is the VR application with an old, we do not use an old Oculus. So run the application and press P to capture the panorama. Okay, and so recording 360 videos, we want to have capture every frame set. So let's go through and look at this real quick. On the game object, I might as well call this capture panorama. And so we got the panorama name. This is going to be the file name of the images that are created. So I'm going to just say test01. And then the quality setting. And by default, this one is going to be set to, let's see, we got to scroll down here. Quality settings selects what the quality settings under project settings quality during the capture. Highest is recommended. Default is the player's current setting. So I think right now it's at high, so that's fine. We could check under the project settings quality. And yeah, it's up here at fantastic right now because I'm on standalone. So that's great. But we could put a different name in here if we wanted to. Capture key is P. That's fine. And PNG, I'm going to use JPEG because JPEG really is the smallest image size, and these can end up taking up a lot of hard drive space. JPEG produces the smallest file size, lower quality. Bitmap is faster to save than the PNG so the bitmap is faster to save because there's no compression that has to be done at all. It just saves raw data, so that's a bigger file. But the PNG is a smaller file size, but it's going to take a longer. So I guess the best option would be PNG. Bitmap is going to do a faster render, but that's not really too important. But I'm going to use JPEG because JPEG is going to be the smallest file size, and I'm not too worried about the little compression artifacts. So capture stereoscopic, that's of course going to do an image on the top and an image on the bottom for the left and the right eyes in the video. For the first video, I'm going to skip that because I'm just rendering a monoscopic 360 video for YouTube. And so we got the interpupillary distance, which is the distance between the eyes. So when it does a render for a stereoscopic, this doesn't matter if I don't have this checked, but this matters if you have a stereoscopic turned on, and it's how far apart the eyes are. So I would just probably leave that at default. And then, so this is the panorama width. That's going to be which is how big the video size is. So 8K is really nice, but for my video, I'm going to make it 4096. And anti-aliasing 8 is fine. Again, if you want to go read about each one of these, check out the documentation. We don't want to upload images and capture every frame. This is for video, so if you want to capture video, you need to capture every frame. You can set the frame rate. I'm going to have a frame rate of 30. And I guess for VR, you might want to capture 60 frames a second. Number of frames to record. So if you leave this at 0, it's just going to record forever. But let's say I want a 10-second clip. That would be 300 frames because I'm capturing 30 frames per second. So this will be a 10-second video. And then there's the start, done sounds. These are just sounds that play when you capture. And what else do we need to set? That's pretty much it. So at this point, if I just capture this scene, nothing's moving. So let me make a cube, and then I'll add an animator, and then I guess we'll need to make a animation controller. Cube movement, and I'm going to drag that onto the cube. So there's no animation for the cube, so I'm going to go to the animation window and record a new animation. Select the cube and hit record. First, we're going to have to create an animation, and I'll call it move up, down. And we'll add the transform position. So at the start and the end is fine, but right in the middle of the animation at half of a second there, I'll move the cube up to here. We'll go to 420. All right, so now that that's set, I'm going to unclick record, and we should be able to press play and see the cubes moving. So now we have something happening in the scene. Now we're ready to capture the video. So I'm going to click play, but considering, you know, we had set up our scene that we want to capture the whole thing, we want to press P immediately. So I'm going to click play, and then I'm going to press P. And now you can see Unity is running really slowly because it's capturing every single frame. So if I go out to my project folder, I can see that it has all these JPEGs that it's making. And if I refresh, it won't do anything until I go back into Unity. So if I'm in Windows, I press Alt, and I can say View and show the status bar. And that way it shows me, so there's 145. And if I go into Unity, now I come back out, there's 156. So it's not rendering at all while I'm alt tabbed out of Unity. You have to stay in Unity, obviously, and if you want to check progress, you could go to your folder, and now you see 195. Alright, it just finished. The cube started going fast again, so I know it's done. 307 items over here now, so I'm going to stop Unity from playing. And now we have 300 image files. Let me make a new folder right here. I'm going to cut these with Control X, and let's make a new folder and call it render. I'm just going to move all the images into here. All right, so we got our 300 image files. Back into the documentation, it tells us how to go through and do this. We have to install FFmpeg. So in order to do that, we can do a Google search for FFmpeg, but the problem is that this is basically a project that needs to be built. So what you really need is an ffmpeg exe, and that's where this ffmpeg.zen, what is this, zeranoe.com. It's probably, you know, a great idea to build it yourself, but I just want to do it. This is the nightly build. This is a release build. It's 3.24. So if I go back to ffmpeg, then I could see that ffmpeg. If I go to the download, the current release is 3.42 Hypatia, and so that's what this is. This is a nightly build. So I just want a stable 3.42 64-bit, and then we got static exe for each program, a DLL for each library. Now the DLL is nice because that could actually work inside Unity, and we could put the DLL into Unity and make this integrated. Now that's essentially what the paid, I think the paid asset does, but we just want to get an exe. So I'm going to download here, and now that that's done downloading, I got the ffmpeg folder. I might as well extract that out to my desktop. And now I probably need to go into the bin folder, and there I got ffmpeg.exe. And that's what I'm going to need to bring over into, I'm going to just, well, I could just paste it into here. And because because I paste it into the render folder, here it is, I could run it here. But let's actually treat this like an installation. So instead of putting this on the desktop, I'm going to cut that. And because I downloaded the 64-bit version, I'm going to put it into the program files directory. So I just want to paste it here. All right, so we got ffmpeg in the in there. Now I want to put this bin folder with all these exes. I want to put this into my path. So I'm going to go right-click on computer and go to properties and advanced system settings under environment variables. And under the environment variables, we got the user variables path. That would work. There also should be a path down here for the system variables. So I'm going to edit the system path. And you can see in between locations we need a semicolon. So I need to put a semicolon and then paste that ffmpeg path into the bin folder. And now the bin folder is part of my path, which means I could type ffmpeg from any location and it's going to work. Whereas before, if this wasn't a part of my path, of course that command wouldn't work. So now that I can run ffmpeg anywhere on my computer, I'm ready to go back into my render folder. I'm going to hold down shift, right click into the white space, and I don't see the command that I want. So I'm actually in my Windows libraries. So I'm going to right click on a file and I'm going to say open file location. That's actually going to take me to the actual path where I'm at. That means that I can hold down shift and right click and say open command window here. So now I have my command window open to my render folder, and just like the documentation says, install ffmpeg, add it to your path, and save the included asset assemble.command batch file to your image sequence. So if I go back to Unity and I look at the project folder under the root of the capture panorama, there's the assemble.command, which is a batch file. So I'm going to right click on this and say, well, let's just right click on this and say show in Explorer, and then I can copy this with Control C and paste it into my render folder. So now I have the assemble batch file, and if I really wanted to go look and see what this is doing, we could see that it's running an ffmpeg command, but that's fine. So we're going to go back to the documentation. We're going to see that this is the example of how to run the assemble, and it explains what the parameters are. So with this on the screen, I'm going to go ahead and bring up my command line, and first I'll do a dir so I could see the name of my files, and it's test01 2017, and it ends at an underscore because I can see that the 776 underscore is really where it ends, because after that this number system starts, which is a number for each image. So the real file name is this part that ends with 776 underscore. So if I go back to the command window, I could see that it's telling me to run a symbol. And I need to run my file name here, so I can paste if I wanted to. I could say edit paste. And that, because I had copied that file name from Explorer. Or we could type in test, and I'm going to press tab. And then I'm going to delete back to the underscore. So we could see here in the example that it's saying put everything in up to that underscore before the numbers start. The 000001. And then we do a space and we do the file extension. So I've done a space here, and I'm going to type JPEG. And then another space. And this is the output file name. So we can see I'm reading these to know the output file name is next. So I'm going to say test01.mp4 space. And then this is the output frame rate. So 60 is good, but I captured in 30. So I guess I'll type in 30. Next time I'll probably capture at 60 frames a second. 18 is the CFR quality. And so 18 is okay. I'm going to put, how about a 22? And then ultra fast is the FFmpeg encoding preset. So if we go to the FFmpeg encoding guide, we could see that you choose a preset. The general guideline is to use the slowest preset that you have patience for. So ultra fast is going to be the worst one, and placebo, I guess, is the best. This is ignore placebo as it is not useful. Okay, so yeah, very slow is going to be the best quality. So instead of using very fast like ultra fast like they did, I'm going to say very slow because I have patience for that. And then I'm going to press enter. And now it's going through and it's doing the encoding. You can see it's basically grabbing each image and adding it into the video. So now that it's done, if we go back to our render folder, there's the test01.mp4. And I can see by the way the sky looks up here that this is a 360 render. So now I can upload this. No, I can't upload this to YouTube. It's not going to work. So before we upload it to YouTube, well, step 1, we've created the video, and step 2 is preparing for upload. And so in order to prepare it for upload, we need to add the metadata. It says you could do that with a Python script. And this is the spatial media metadata injector. But an easier way to do this is going to be download the 360 video metadata app for Windows. And there it is. It's downloading the 360 video metadata app. I'm going to open up that zip file. And I got spatial media metadata injector.exe. I guess I'll just drop that into my renderer folder, and I'm going to double click that and run it. And then we get this little program, spatial media metadata injector, and I'm going to say open my test01.mp4. And I'm going to say my video is spherical 360, and it's not stereoscopic with the bottom top layout. So I'm going to inject metadata, and it's going to ask me what file name. So I got a new MP4 coming out of that, and it's successfully saved. So now my test01 injected, it's all the way down here at the bottom. This actually has the metadata. Now I can upload this to YouTube and it will work as a 360 video. There's no audio in here, and this tutorial is not going to cover that. But the good news is the other 360 Panorama does have an option built in for you to capture audio. However, there's going to have to... I didn't find a built-in solution for that with this one. So that means if you want to capture the audio from Unity as well, we would need to find some way to capture the audio. Maybe we just would not use Unity to do it. We could just use some program to record our Windows audio and turn it into a WAV file, and then we would click play on Unity and just let it record the audio, and then you can actually add the audio in when you do the assemble here. But another way to do it would be to just use a video editor and go add this MP4 into the video editor and then add the audio track to it. So this is how you make a 360 video and make it work for YouTube for free with the Asset Store. Everyday VR, the 360 Panorama Capture. All right, give it a like if you liked the video and subscribe if it helps you out. I'll see you guys in the next video. Thanks for watching.